You're here with Nisa and Joel,
Hey everybody.
and we'll be discussing tonight the Black Eyed Kids phenomenon. Joel, you ever heard of the Black Eyed Kids?
I have heard of the Black Eyed Kids, but briefly, and I think it was you who told me about them. I honestly didn't know about them until you told me. But what are they
And
exactly?
it's a really interesting mystery going around. It started back in 1996, and from just reports of these strange children appearing in the middle of the night, just showing up at people's houses, knocking on the door, requesting to come in, requesting to use the phone. Um, and then it just started evolving from there and growing and just started seeing stories about them online, and they tend to show up apparently in like rural areas, like homes like very far out away from the major cities, as far as I've read.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the same information I've come across myself. There's a couple of YouTubers that you told me about. I think one of them was called. I have some information here that you gave to me. Fantastic Daily. What is it? It's basically a guy who set up some sort of like a camera right in his house or outside of his porch, and he
Yeah, Fantastic Daily is actually really interesting. I actually listened to him quite a bit, and I recommend anybody interested in the Black Eyed Kids to check him out. He had apparently discovered like a signal or something that would attract them, and he did like an experiment where he put out the signal, and one of the kids apparently showed up to his front door in the middle of the night, which led into this crazy stuff with activity going on in his house and stuff like that. But it was really really interesting, and he does a lot of research and things like that. And the kids are creepy, at least. Even if that kid like that I saw in the video was not a Black Eyed Kids, they were being pretty creepy.
All right. Let's actually first give our listeners some background information on exactly what constitutes as a black-eyed kid. According to some of the information that I've gathered, it's usually, as a matter of fact, let me actually pull it up here. Basically, it's usually sometimes one or a pair of kids. It can always be a mix of different genders, or it can be the same genders, always together. Usually, it's in some rural, close-knit, maybe like out in the open type of area, like a small town out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. They usually range between 6 and 16 years of age, and they're usually described as like ominous, scary. It's almost their eyes are completely pitched black, where there's no distinction between the iris, the eye white, or anything like that. And they're always very still and just downright creepy looking. But there's more to it than that. I think you have a lot more information in regards to this topic because you're the one that brought me onto it. So what else do you know or can you contribute to this one?
Yeah, it's actually been a very interesting topic for me for a couple of years now. But basically, the story originated by a reporter called Brian Bethel, and it originated in Abilene, Texas, and basically was published to a paranormal mailing list back then in the 90s, and it's circulated since then, right? And it's very strange because in all the accounts that people, like eyewitness accounts and reports and things like that about black-eyed children interactions, it's always described as these children. They give off this sense of terror, like this sense like when you're around one or one is near you, you become very very much afraid for yourself, and kind of enter like a flight or fight response. And as the story goes, is like a lot of times what will happen is that one will show up at your door, and then you'll hear a knock or they ring the doorbell, and you go, no problem, just the kids. And sometimes they travel in pairs, so sometimes there's two of them. A lot of times they're ranging from the ages of like 8 years old to like 16. It varies. And then when you hear a knock on the door, the doorbell, and you'll go, and then you see these children, and as soon as you reach the door, you just have this immediate sense of terror. And these children will then a lot of times ask to use like the phone. They'll ask to come inside. They'll do anything to try to get you to invite them in, right? They'll ask for
Yeah.
a glass of water.
As you as everyone might tell, you have a lot more information about this because I don't know much about them. I know that it's not considered like a phenomenon or anything like that. It's not like the scary sounds that we spoke about at a later episode. It's more like an uncommon occurrence, but it's happened enough that there are literally reports about it online, and there are YouTubers who have documented different cases that they've encountered personally. There's Reddit forums and threads that of people personally having experiences with a black-eyed kid, and it's a pretty scary thought to think about. And I think the scary thing about them is not so much that they have black eyes, although that alone is actually pretty scary in its own. It's a fact that they show up usually super late at night and at your doorstep. There was one story that I do remember reading of this one person who had their own encounter, and basically what happened is that in the middle of the night they were about to go to sleep, and they randomly, by the way, this is happening in one of those how can I describe it? It's one of those houses in the middle of nowhere.
Lost to the land.
Lost to the land. You know those people who own lots of land, so like in order to get to their house they go off road, and it's off road for a little bit, you know what I mean? It's like those kind of people. Like literally when you walk out your front door you can actually see the tree line to the woods. You know what I mean? It's that kind of place.
Well, I mean, there are like in some locations there are a lot of homes that have that kind of setup. If there's like woodland, like woods or forest areas that are closer to the city, but like more in the outskirts.
Yeah, I think usually they tend to happen a lot more in these areas because it's more secluded, and there isn't a lot of lively activity around, and it gives them whatever they might be. I don't know if they're kids that are playing a prank and it's gotten out of control, kind of like those situations with the clowns that's been happening over the US.
Well, it's weird though, because with the situation with the clowns, you know, the clown masks are scary, and the clowns move and behave in a very creepy manner to like frighten you.
Yeah.
These kids, they just a lot of times they're wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
They're wearing a hoodie and they're trying to hide their eyes from you, so they'll be looking down. They act very like calm, very still. So as an adult, you know, you see a kid by themselves, you immediately, you know, I would like to think that you become, you know, have a sense of urgency towards the kid, you know, and I want to make sure that they're okay. What's wrong? Did they get lost? Or, you know, or anything like that. So to have the sense that a lot of these people report that they become very scared of these children, they don't even want to let them in their house, you know.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that I was mentioning about the person who had this one particular encounter. He said in his story in the thread that when he got a knock on the door, he went to the door and looked through the people to see who it was, and of course it was the kids, but their eyes were like it's almost like they were standing in front of the door, but they weren't looking directly at the door where he could visibly see their eyes. It's almost like they were looking like at the side windows of the house, or looking down, or looking at the top of the door. And when he was about to reach for the doorknob, one of the kids, which by the way, one of the kids was a girl, immediately said, and I have the story pulled up here. It said, "Can I use your phone?" Randomly, and he heard it through the door, and then he says that when he heard that, he got this shiver down his spine, and he didn't open the door immediately after, and he waited there for like a quick second, and then he immediately heard the older boy who was with the girl say, "I'm lost, can I come in?" And that alone was pretty creepy. Now he said that he didn't open the door. He went to get some sort of...
Would you open the door? Like a random creepy kid tells you, "I'm lost, can I come in?" in a very creepy voice. Would you open the door?
Well, I mean, from the way he wrote it, it's not like he was hearing like a demonic voice or anything, but it was a regular sounding kid's voice. The boy was older, but it was just a very creepy thing to be happening. I don't know. There was something about it that really didn't grab him the right way. So he went to grab something to defend himself just in case, because of course, remember, he is in a very woodland area. So he went to grab something. When he came back, they were gone.
I'd run too if I see someone going to go get a bat.
No, well, I mean, the thing is, well, that's the scary part. They're outside, and they don't know what what the person inside the house is doing.
Yeah.
So when he comes back, they're gone.
I mean, unless he has one of those front doors that have like that side window that lets you see inside the house and everything.
I don't know. I mean, just
which I wouldn't want to have.
I would, yeah, because that you mean that screen mesh? That thing doesn't.
No. There's some like houses have like next to the entrance door. There's like a panel, like a long thin panel that's just glass, and you can see right through. Into the house.
I know what you mean. Well, I mean, I don't know. Remember, because it was a story, but I think he would have described it, and he would have mentioned it.
But can you imagine if you have one of those and you turn around and there's this black-eyed kid staring into your house at you?
Oh my God. Like, if I would immediately have my cell phone on 911 speed dial just in case. And
I would go for the bat.
I'd go for the bat. No, I'd probably just run to the kitchen and get a knife at that point just in case to defend myself.
I don't know. What would you guys do, guys? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know what you would do if you were in that situation.
Just picture it.
Just imagine it. Like you look towards your front door, and there's some kid with pitch black eyes, just no whites. No, it's not tattooed eyes or anything.
No
it's
warning.
Just pitch black.
You just turn off the TV.
Warning.
You turn off the TV.
Creep up on you in complete silence.
Exactly. You turn off the TV, you go straight to the bedroom, and then you just see someone standing, looking into your house through the front door.
Can you imagine those small towns where they leave their doors unlocked? Oh my God, I would lose my mind.
And the funny thing is that that's where it happens. However, you never hear of. I never read a case about them breaking into the house. It's always them asking permission to go into the house.
Which is, it's very strange in itself, asking permission to just go into your house and stuff. But I read that apparently people who have let them in, they'll have like bad experiences after.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. Let's get into the purpose of them asking, like, because I'm glad that you said that, because now that we discuss exactly what happens, how creepy it is, what's their purpose, what's their ultimate goal, or what the people who have had these experiences, what do they think were their ultimate goal if you were to let them into your home?
I don't know. I think they would kill you or something. Like there's a couple theories online actually. There was a story of a woman who let the kids, like she let them inside, and then after that she suffered like nosebleeds, and she ended up being diagnosed with advanced skin cancer very shortly after the incident. Apparently the report was that the advanced skin cancer was consistent with an exposure to massive radiation.
But she wasn't attacked by them.
No, she wasn't attacked by them. She was just in the presence of them while they were inside her house.
Very weird.
Shortly after, she had like massive exposure to radiation and ends up with advanced skin cancer. And it's very bizarre.
The fact that someone had that experience. There was another article that I read. It's not so much of a story, but usually people say that when they ask you to go into their house is because they're either trying to rob you, or they think that they're going to try and kill you or kidnap you, or drag you back into the... Because remember, the most common thing is that they usually appear next to the woods or in very rural areas. And a lot of people, mind you, there has never been any report of anyone being killed by them.
Yeah. Well, I think you're trying to like rationalize it, no? But I think honestly there's like a supernatural element to this. The sensation of fear that you get from them, and that paralyzing terror. A lot of times it's described they're described as having like telepathic abilities or psychic abilities, and they may have like because a lot of times what happens is you end up wanting to let them in, so you're like reaching for the door. And I guess if you're more willfully strong, you can kind of fight against that with your own instincts. So and maybe they have like a hypnotic pull that trying to convince you to get you to open the door and stuff. So I think it's a very out of this world kind of situation. One of the theories is that they could be like alien children or something.
You know what? There's another theory that I came across, and I know this might be for another episode, but there are some people who think that there's a correlation between the Black-Eyed Kids and a Native American folklore called skinwalkers. I have heard of skinwalkers from watching that show Supernatural. I came across it, but I've never actually made the connection until I
What have we not run into with Supernatural?
Yeah, I mean, like, Jesus, if there's anything supernatural, if there's anything creepy or scary or imaginative, it's showed up on a episode of Supernatural.
Definitely. It's interesting that they would correlate Black-Eyed Kids to skinwalkers.
Well, because here's the reason why I think it actually makes sense. We don't know what the Black-Eyed Kids are. We don't know if they're kids that are possessed by a demonic force. We don't know if they're demonic forces that are in disguise as a kid. We don't know if they are just spirits and not real demonic forces or kids at all, and they're just manifesting themselves randomly. So we don't know exactly what they are. Now, I don't have a lot of information right now to give on skinwalkers, but we're more than likely going to bring that up on another episode. But
well,
there is some
guys,
sort of a correlation.
If you want us to go further into depth about the skinwalkers, just let us know in the comments below. Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button, and we'll make a skinwalker episode.
Definitely like to go in depth into the skinwalker episode and see how it connects to the Black-Eyed Kids.
Yeah. These Black-Eyed Kids, I mean, it's really interesting that they're remote. All these things always happen in like remote places, like, you know, alien abductions happening around Alaska and all this stuff, and it just tells me don't live in remote places because weird stuff happens.
Definitely. Yeah, I really feel like there's something there. It's the only thing about the Black-Eyed Kids that's weird is that there's not a lot of information. There are plenty of occurrences, and there's plenty of documented occurrences, and there's a couple of YouTubers who have had personal accounts themselves, and they've recorded it, especially that guy that we just mentioned, the Fantastic Daily, where he set up a camera inside of the house pointing at his front door, but next to his front door is a big window where you can look at the patio to see who's standing in front of your door. And he left it recording all night, and at some point, I would say a young teenage girl just showed up from the distance in the woods and then walked up to the house, stayed there looking at the front door, just doing nothing. And remember, this is sped up because it was recorded the entire night. So this is sped up footage. So in just like a minute or two worth of footage, you know that is several hours. The person is just standing there looking at the front door, then moves over, looks into the house through the window. But it's not like they're like bending over looking and trying to peer through the window. They're literally just standing up straight looking in the direction of the window.
That's
and then they just walk
scary
off.
About them.
They
That's
just
what's
walk
scary
away.
about them. They're just very
there,
calm, and they're just almost like statuesque like.
Exactly, they're just there.
They appear out of nowhere and they just disappear.
Heaven forbid one on earth they actually do if you just open the door and they walk into your house.
I don't know. That'd be crazy. Like,
I don't know.
The curiosity is, and you know what is
curiosity is
also
morbid.
Apparently when they show up, there's reports of whenever they're around an area, that area will have problems with power outages and flickering lights and a lot of disruption of the electrical grid. So again, it correlates with that whole, you know, radiation exposure kind of thing. Like, do they have like this aura or this energy that they just emit that just interrupts electronic equipment or electrical grids and things like that? And you have to want, like, my question to you, Joel, is, you know, if you had that situation, like say one is at your door and you see their eyes, you know that they're one of these black-eyed kids, would you be compelled to open the door? Like, would you be curious enough? Like, what would you do?
Man, I gotta be honest. I honestly don't know. I honestly can tell you right now that I don't know because I'm not in that moment. I would be curious enough to want to open the door, but I don't think I would be brave enough to open that door. So I don't know what to tell you.
So you would wuss out.
I would probably, yeah. I think I would wuss out. I think I'd just stand by the window next to my front door and just stare them down to see if they do anything. And if I'm literally standing there for 5 minutes straight looking at them and they just sit there 5 minutes straight staring right back at me, I would honestly say I'm not opening the door for this creeper. And then I would tell them to leave.
You know what's crazy is that they're known for going around to the back doors. Like a lot of people's houses, they have like back doors.
True.
And a lot of times people forget to like not lock the back door.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And they go around to the back door and they come into your house. Like what do you do? Like if they are like,
it's almost like they're surrounding the house. It's like,
yeah. Imagine there's like you see two of them, but you don't. It's all there is around outside is darkness and woods. You don't know if there's like a whole cult of these kids.
exactly.
It's like Children of the Corn situation.
Exactly. You know what? I'm so glad you. That is what's creepy about this, because pop culture wise, this is a true Children of the Corn type stuff. And my goodness, I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, I'd be freaked out. I would move. I would just move.
No, I don't think I would move, but I would immediately start interviewing all of my neighbors. And see if
Why?
anyone, because I need to know if anyone has had this occurrence, and if anyone is, because if anyone's had this occurrence, did they let them in? What happened if they let them in? Did they call the police? Is there a police report about this? Does anyone know? Is there a history of this happening in this area? And then I call my realtor, and then I get stuff done.
Everybody you talk to starts to disappear one by one.
Oh my God.
After you talk to them,
I go to my
you end
neighbor.
up being the only one in the middle of the freaking town.
Jesus. No, that's it. I'm getting out of there. I'm leaving the house. Everything is staying behind.
You start driving out of the town, and all of a sudden there's like this whole group of kids just blocking the road from you. It's like, what do you do?
Oh, time to plow through them. It's either me or them, baby.
To be
It's
fair,
not
guys,
me.
these kids, they're not real kids. They're trying to kill you. I don't know. I mean, would you stop for a group of kids with pitch black eyes and just murderous intent? I don't think I would either.
I don't know. But you know what? The thing is that we don't know if they have murderous intent, but I don't think anyone is stupid enough to test it out and see. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. I honestly feel like this is just a special case of the clown situation that took over the U.S., but in a more supernatural way.
But,
this is a more supernatural.
I mean, the clown situation is a real. There is evidence of it being just people disguised as clowns messing with other people. Some of them are just either, whether it's a joke or not, they are doing this on purpose, right? And I don't even know why that whole clown situation started. I think it had to do with American Horror Story, because they had that season with the like Freak Show, right? They had that season with the murderous clown and stuff.
I mean, I'm not big into.
I'm not sure if it correlated at the same time. It's a great show. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
That whole clown situation was just really weird. How that started off, and it's just like in random locations.
It's like people, almost everyone wanted a piece of the cake. Everyone wanted a piece of the cake.
I think people are just bored. I think you're just bored, and they just wanted some attention, and decided to like just prank some people and scare them.
But you know
what?
Mean,
it was pretty scary. There was a couple videos I saw where just murderous clown with a knife pops up in the middle of a like corn crop highway. Like I'd floor it. Just get out of there.
Yeah. Honestly,
clown shows up with a little black-eyed kid. Honestly, just floor it even more.
I don't think is like. I think a lot like You know how in the last episode we talk about the people who created the crop circles, and there was a reason why they did that is because they wanted publicity. Like they actually came forward and took credit for it.
Yeah.
The people who did the clown situation, I would like to think that they actually wanted to take credit for it because they went as far as to chase people down. Some of them actually got caught in a fight, and then they got arrested. And then people know that there were people doing this thing, but these kids, they're not going after people. They disappear. They just vanish, and
That's what's weird about it. That's what's the mystery of it.
You can't say that they're doing it because they want publicity or they want attention or they want to take it to the next level. They're just there, and then they go away.
Yeah.
Kind of like Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind.
And what's the fourth kind?
I don't know.
Gone.
Aliens.
You're gone.
But yeah,
What is it? It's like first encounter is I don't remember. I remember what the order is.
I know that Close Encounters of the Third Kind is when you make contact. I think it's when you get abducted, or is that
Isn't
fourth?
that the fourth kind?
I think that's the fourth kind. I think Close Encounters of the Third Kind is when you just interact with them, and then the fourth kind is when you're abducted. I don't know. That's another episode.
Well, we'll save it for. We'll get more into aliens later on. I promise, guys.
Oh yeah,
We'll have a nice long aliens discussion.
Trust me, there is no shortage of alien encounters and stories online. We're definitely gonna get into that. but yeah, I mean, is there
I
anything
don't know,
else?
but the black eyed kids could be a whole alien situation there. Like I don't know, could they be just aliens that are? But what's the purpose? Like why? Why certain people? Why certain locations?
There's
Right?
something.
Like,
there's
why
something
wouldn't
about
we?
it.
Why not cities? Why does this always have to happen in isolated places?
But there's something. There's something about it that to me doesn't ring alien. It rings more cult, supernatural, demonic.
Maybe they're demon children.
Yeah, that's another theory. Remember those three
Disguised
theories
as children.
Those three theories I told you about earlier. Aliens doesn't sound like it sticks to me.
Really? You don't think it would be aliens? I don't know. I mean, they have pitch black eyes, no iris.
But there's
What if they're hybrids?
They could be hybrids. Oh, but you know what? There's another thing that we forgot to mention. There are accounts of the black-eyed kids where they show up wearing different clothes. Remember, some of them have been encountered with modern clothes like a hoodie, t-shirt, and jeans.
Yeah,
some of them have
true.
even been encountered with old I don't want to say Victorian, but they're old clothes.
I know
kind
what
of like
you're talking about.
1920s, 1910 clothes.
Specifically, those old, like those, they're not old because I think they're still used today. You know those baptism gowns, the white gowns for the baptismals?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of them have been seen in the woods with them. Apparently, there's a picture of one in the gown, and it's supposedly a black-eyed kid and stuff like that.
We'll find it.
Do they age? I don't know. It makes it seem like maybe they've been around for many years, and they
Also,
just
you're
don't
saying that these
age.
accounts go farther back. These aren't modern day
so.
accounts.
I think so. I think maybe it goes further back. You know, the story was first found in 1996, but maybe this stuff's been happening way before.
Well, you know what? That hasn't occurred to me. Maybe we're gonna have to do a little bit more digging on this one.
Makes you wonder how many people have actually let them in and never been heard from again.
Yeah, but at that point, there's no way of knowing, because if they never were heard from again, well, there goes any information about it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, especially back in the day. I mean, we didn't have internet or anything like that to
True.
keep track of people. Person just vanished in the woods. They just vanished.
Yeah, I mean, with the advent of the internet not being there during those old times, so I guess whatever happens, happened. And then that's it. Unless there was someone around to witness it and lived on to pass on the information, there's really no way of knowing.
Okay. I just saw you get kidnapped by these black-eyed children. I have witnessed this. And I'm just going to go around and be like, oh, hey, Joel got kidnapped by these kids. I don't know if he's ever coming back.
Yeah, but you don't know if that person that witnessed it then got took themselves.
Then how would anybody know that it happened?
That's what the point I'm making. Like, if it happened,
What?
if they're because here's the thing, we know of the accounts regarding Black Eyed Kid interactions because of people putting it online and sharing their experiences. But if this has been happening going much farther back, because remember that some of them are seen supposedly wearing old clothes and not modern day clothes, so it's possible that these occurrences have been happening going much farther back than 1996 or 99 or even the 80s or the 70s or the 60s or the 50s, who knows. And obviously you know that the internet is a very new thing still. Well, I mean, like, relatively. So unless
It's I wouldn't say new.
I don't want to say new anymore, but I mean, it's been around a while. But if
It's young and abused.
it's young and abused. But there could have been accounts way before the advent of the internet that we just don't know about. Who knows? I mean, that's nothing that we can ever discuss, because it happened, and the only thing we have to go on are the things that we have access to right now.
This is true. Yeah. Very like strange mystery, the Black Eyed Kids. It's why one of the reasons why it fascinates me is because there is so little information about it.
I would love to have a conversation with someone, if anyone who listens to this podcast or catches it on YouTube. If you have personal experiences or know people that have had personal experiences, please leave a comment down below. Let us know, or shoot us a tweet at our Twitter and let us know if you've had experiences regarding this. We'd love to have a conversation about it and know more about it.
Tell us your stories. You know, we want to know what your stories are. I mean, we personally haven't had any encounters with them. Frankly, I'm kind of thankful. I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, I close the blinds on my windows, and at night, I don't know. Sometimes, because I watch so much stuff with creepy stories and things like that, it starts to play with your head.
Yeah. Luckily,
in the middle of the night.
Luckily for us, we live in a city area, so, and I'm not stupid enough to get a house with plenty of land next to the woods. All right.
But the land, Joel, the land.
Yeah. Well, I'll just buy a ton of land in the city and and then have my house there. But I'm not gonna go into the woods.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind living.
Do you
out
know?
in the countryside?
Do you know how much of the U.S. actually is? I don't know if this is the word, suburbanized. I think I just made that word up.
I'm not even sure if that's a word.
I don't even sure if that's a word. But you know how much of the U.S. is actually turned into like cities where there's like built populations? There are, like, I would want to say that 30% of the U.S. or maybe 40% of the U.S. has pockets of populations within it, and the other 60 is just abandoned, empty land. So
well, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's abandoned. I mean,
not
the majority of the
abandoned,
U.S. is agricultural, so there's a lot of farmland. It's really funny actually, because if you think about it, we have cities on the East Coast, we have cities on the West Coast, a couple cities down, going from east to west on the south, and then a couple up above in the north. Yeah. But then the whole middle of the U.S. is just farmland, right? We just have a lot of farms, a lot of like countryside.
Yeah, but not every single inch
land.
of it. Not every single inch of it is farmland. There's a lot of a lot of pockets of just woodland areas that Lord knows what on earth is happening there that no one knows about. So
don't go into the woods at night.
Don't go into the woods. Cults. Maybe that's where these things are originating from. These black-eyed kids.
Oh, satanic cults. I mean, that's a possibility, honestly.
Of course,
like,
no. And those things.
Satanic cults. I mean, where would the black eyes come from? And this is, I know Supernatural does the whole black eyed demons and stuff like that, but let's just like, okay, maybe, but
let's get
the black eyed kids. You know, you got these cult setups, maybe brainwashing. These kids maybe could be like taken, brainwashed, or something.
I wouldn't explain the black eyes though.
They do sell those like full eye Well,
true.
Well, one of the things said is that you can't distinguish where the iris and the rest of the eye is. So I guess I mean, I do have a description of actually of what their eyes are like. Let me read this to you. So apparently their eyes are described to be more like ragged holes or glossy bulbs, right? And they radiate negative. They radiate negative emotions.
So what does that mean? Radiate negative emotions? Like you just
So
get you walk past them and you feel immediately sad.
It's like you walk past them and they're like,
oh, I hate my
20
life.
years of depression just crashes on you. It's like, you're the cause. But I don't know. Negative radiates negative. I mean, I guess fear is a negative emotion. So is anger. So what? You walk past one and you just become enraged.
Well, I mean, that's not. I mean, you know what?
I mean, I think it's just raw instinct, right?
There
Like
are people.
panic,
There are
fear.
people who have. There are people who have suffered possessions, who feel those kind of energies, or is that sensitive that feel that kind of energy?
Yeah, I think they're called sensitives, or
Yeah, I think they actually
empathic
literally are called sensitives.
people. Yeah. And apparently they can feel
Or
like
empaths.
the aura around
Empath.
a person. Is it empaths?
I think it's
I
an
thought
empath.
empaths was more like
Sensitive is
emotional.
more, I think, for people who feel spirits around them, but I think an empath is those people who are in tune to others' emotions.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, empaths. Yeah, it's more of an emotional thing. And I guess some people can be more. I know I think I'm a little more sensitive to it. I know when my friends or something are really upset, but I think that's just natural human intuition, right? But sometimes I do get the sense that I can just sometimes if there's a stranger nearby or something, I do get a sense of like if they're really really sad, like a strong emotion. I usually pick up on. And it could be just I'm really good at reading body language or something.
That's all. That's all you. I'm
completely
I'm
I'm an
oblivious
empath,
to that
guys.
stuff. I'm just a morbidly curious person.
I'm empathic. Joel is just a nut.
I'm just emotionless. I'm like, oh, you're sad.
He's
Oh,
just
okay.
stone cold.
I'm
It's
just
like you're
stone
sad.
cold.
You're sad. Get over it. And I'm
Yeah.
here like, oh man, talk to me. Tell me what's wrong. Joel's just like, Psh, I'm
Tell
sad
me
every
about
day.
it. I'm gonna be here reading a book.
Such a jerk. So messed up. This black eyed. This is why it wouldn't work if Joel had black eyed kids visit him because he'll just.
I'll probably just
be like,
open the door and punch him right in the face and just close it again.
They'll be like, hey, I'm lost. Can I come in? And he'll be like, cry me a river.
Crimea River. There's a police station a few blocks down. Go ask for help over there.
Meanwhile, most likely I'm the one who's gonna get murdered because I'd be like, oh, sweetie, let me help you out. Let me let you in.
Sure.
My husband probably be like, what are you doing? Why are you letting strangers into our house?
As you're opening the door and sealing your fate.
No.
Oh, I think this has been a pretty good episode. I mean, like, is there anything that comes to mind?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. Like I said, it's a very mysterious topic. A lot of interesting, weird stuff happening with them.
It's worth starting a conversation.
I will
about.
say that if you ever have an encounter or you ever have something like this happen where you have like these weird children show up, don't open the door. Just don't open the door. Look, if you're one of those people that you can't stand the sight of a child, in need, which any human being would probably react the same way. Just be like, hey, can you look up at the peephole so I can see your eyes first?
Yes. But I think needless to say, it's still important to say don't open the door to strangers. If you're listening to this, if you're an adult, obviously I'm assuming you know better, but if you're listening to this and you're, I guess, 15 or under, like, I think it goes without saying, don't open the door to strangers, even if the stranger on the other side of the door is someone that might be the same age as you. Like, it's still someone you don't know. You don't know their intent. You gotta
They could
question.
be part of a cult.
They could be part of a cult.
I'm just
You
saying.
gotta question the fact that why on earth are they in front of my door at this hour, whatever the hour is. So just be careful if you ever do encounter that.
Here's the rationale, right? Like, if you live in a remote location where it takes time that you have to drive out to your location to visit you, there's no one else in sight except for maybe a neighbor or two. Other than someone breaking down maybe a mile from your house, why would there be a child by themselves at like 2, 3, whatever in the morning, middle of the night, knocking on your door? Like, short of them escaping like a kidnapping, I'm just saying it's very fishy, suspicious. I would not open the door.
Yeah, it's 2018. Where's your cell phone? You know.
For real.
Yeah. I need to use your phone. I need help. Where's your cell phone? Everyone and their grandmother and their babies have cell phones.
Just slide your cell phone through the mail flap or something.
Yeah, you know
It's
what?
like, "Here you
Listen,
go."
I got insurance on this cell phone. Here, make a phone call. And if you run off with it,
Here you
oh well,
go.
I still have my life.
I mean, yeah, because I mean the stories come from like 1996, back when people had a landline. So I don't think the line, "Oh, can I come in and use your phone?" I would just be like, "Here you go." I just slide it under my door.
Yeah.
Open the window.
Or
throw
just
it
open
up
the
there.
window. Here. That's
It's like,
it.
Here's my cell phone. Just call. It's okay. I can wipe it with my code thing afterwards. You don't have to give it back.
Exactly. Can we come in? Nope. Just straight up.
No,
No.
I gave you a cell phone. What?
Why do you need to
Can
come
I get
in?
a water?
Don't worry. You can make a phone call out there. Don't worry. It has good reception out here.
There's a roof. The rain won't get you.
That's it. A
Turn
lot of
around, they're gone.
there's exactly, and they're gone with your cell phone, which is the worst part of it.
So you go to your provider. You're like, "Hey, I need a new cell phone. What happened?"
A black-eyed kid took it.
Black-eyed kid took it. Don't ask. It was weird.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not part
I
of
didn't
your
wanna
insurance
die.
policy, so we can't replace your phone. No, and that's the scary
Every
part of the
time,
story.
provider. Every time. That's the scary part, right? Getting your phone replaced. That's the true mystery. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you like our conversations, you like our topics, please leave a comment below. Hit that like button and subscribe if you like us. We really love doing this, and we'll see you on the next one.
Definitely. Have a good one, y'all.